I parked my car in the familiar parking lot, oblivious to the horrors that awaited me upon my return. The evening had been uneventful, a routine trip to the store, or so I thought. But as I approached my vehicle, a sinking feeling washed over me. It was then that I noticed it, the shocking sight that would plunge me into a nightmarish mystery. Blood. Splatters of crimson covered the exterior of my car, transforming it into a gruesome tableau. Panic coursed through my veins, my mind racing to make sense of the horrifying scene before me. I scanned the area, searching for any signs of a perpetrator or a victim, but the parking lot was eerily empty. Fear clenched my heart as I hesitantly opened the car door, dreading what I might find inside. My trembling hands gripped the steering wheel, leaving imprints on the sticky, blood-soaked surface. My mind was a whirlwind of questions. Whose blood was this? What had happened? And where was the source of this macabre scene? Driven by a mixture of curiosity and mounting dread, I resolved to uncover the truth. I retraced my steps, searching for any clues that could provide answers. The silence of the parking lot weighed heavily on me as I scoured the area, my eyes darting between parked cars and shadowy corners. It was then that I noticed a faint trail of blood leading away from my vehicle. It beckoned me, a crimson breadcrumb that promised the truth, yet threatened to lead me deeper into the unknown. Determined, I followed the trail, my heart pounding in my chest. The trail took me through dimly lit alleys and deserted streets, each step plunging me further into an unsettling labyrinth of uncertainty. The air grew heavy with an oppressive tension, and a foreboding presence seemed to lurk in the shadows, watching my every move. As I delved deeper into the mystery, the trail of blood led me to a secluded warehouse on the outskirts of town. Its dilapidated exterior hinted at its dark history, adding to the growing sense of unease. I cautiously approached, the echoes of my footsteps a haunting soundtrack in the silent night. Inside the warehouse, a scene of horror unfolded before my eyes. Bloodstains marred the floor, evidence of a violent struggle that had taken place. My heart raced as I pieced together the fragments of the chilling puzzle. The answers lay within these blood-soaked walls. I had to uncover the truth, no matter how terrifying it might be. As I ventured deeper into the warehouse, a sense of being watched settled upon me. The air grew colder, and a voice whispered in the shadows, its chilling words echoing through the cavernous space. It warned me to leave, to abandon my pursuit of the truth, but I could not turn back now. The unknown drove me forward. In a secluded corner, I discovered a hidden room, concealed behind a heavy metal door. With trembling hands, I pushed it open, revealing a room that seemed frozen in time, a sinister snapshot of unspeakable acts. The room was a grotesque tableau, a makeshift operating theater where unspeakable acts had taken place. The walls were adorned with sinister symbols, a dark testament to the horrors that had unfolded within these walls. As the door creaked open, a pungent odor wafted through the air, assaulting my senses with its nauseating stench. The room was bathed in an eerie glow, the dim light casting long shadows that danced across the grim walls. The atmosphere was heavy with a malevolence that permeated every inch of the space. My eyes scanned the room, taking in the horrifying tableau that unfolded before me. The walls, once white and pristine, were now adorned with a macabre display of sinister symbols. They sprawled across the surfaces like twisted hieroglyphics, etched in blood-red paint, a haunting testament to the horrors that had unfolded within these walls. A rusted operating table dominated the center of the room, its surface stained with dried blood and mottled with unspeakable filth. The remnants of surgical instruments lay scattered haphazardly, their blades dulled and tarnished, their purpose long forgotten. They were relics of a sadistic practice, instruments of pain and suffering. Shelving units lined the walls, their shelves filled with jars of preserved organs and other unidentifiable objects floating in murky liquid. The jars were labeled with cryptic names and dates, remnants of the twisted experiments conducted in this chamber of horrors. As I ventured deeper into the room, my footsteps echoed through the silence, each step a chilling reminder of the darkness that enveloped me. The floor was littered with discarded syringes, broken glass vials, and scraps of blood-soaked cloth, a mosaic of medical waste that told a haunting story. In one corner, I discovered a blood-stained gurney, its restraints still intact. I shuddered at the thought of the pain and suffering endured by the unfortunate souls who had been strapped down, their anguished screams forever embedded in the walls. As I turned to leave, my gaze fell upon a faded photograph hanging crookedly on the wall. It depicted a group of men, their faces twisted into cruel smiles, their eyes gleaming with a sadistic delight. It was a chilling reminder that the horrors enacted within these walls were not the work of a single deranged mind, but the result of a collective darkness that had seeped into the very fabric of this place. With a heavy heart and a lingering sense of unease, I exited the room, closing the heavy metal door behind me. The memory of that grotesque tableau would forever be etched in my mind, a haunting reminder of the depths of human depravity and the darkness that can lurk behind closed doors. Fear coursed through my veins as I realized I was not alone. I frantically searched for an exit, my heart pounding in my chest. But the room seemed to twist and shift, its walls closing in on me, trapping me in its sinister grasp. Panic swelled within me as I fought against the encroaching darkness. In a moment of desperate clarity, I discovered a small opening concealed beneath a pile of debris. With a surge of adrenaline, I squeezed through the narrow passage, my body scraped and bruised. I emerged into the night, gasping for breath, free from the clutches of that blood-soaked nightmare. The mystery of the blood-stained car and the warehouse remains unsolved to this day. It is a chilling reminder that evil can lurk in the most ordinary places, hidden beneath a thin veneer of normalcy. And as I reflect on that nightmarish encounter, I cannot help but wonder what other secrets lie hidden in the darkness, waiting to be uncovered. If you enjoy listening to horror stories for hours at a stretch, then you are at a right place. Subscribe non-stop creepypasta horror stories right away. I pulled my car into the dimly lit parking lot, the flickering street lamp casting eerie shadows across the pavement. The late hour added to the desolation, as if the world had fallen into a deep slumber. With a sigh of relief, I turned off the engine and stepped out of the car, my footsteps echoing through the empty space. As I made my way towards the entrance of the building, a strange sensation washed over me, a prickling at the back of my neck, as if I was being watched. I glanced over my shoulder, my heart skipping a beat as I noticed an unfamiliar vehicle parked a few spaces away. Its windows were tinted, concealing any glimpse of its occupants. Unease settled in the pit of my stomach, but I brushed it off as paranoia. Maybe it was just a coincidence, I thought. With that reassurance in mind, I continued on, my footsteps quickening, each breath becoming shallower. But as I entered the building, the feeling of being watched intensified. It tormented my thoughts, planted seeds of doubt in my mind. I cast a nervous glance outside, my eyes locking with the tinted windows of the mysterious vehicle. It was then that I knew I was being followed. Panic surged through my veins, my heart pounding in my chest. Who were they? What did they want? Questions flooded my mind, but answers were elusive. My instincts screamed at me to escape, to find safety, but the pursuer's presence loomed over me like a dark cloud. I hurried through the building, my steps echoing in the empty hallway. I could feel their presence behind me, their relentless pursuit never faltering. Fear clenched my heart as I fumbled for my car keys, the jangling sound adding to the growing tension. Finally, I reached my car and fumbled to unlock the door. With trembling hands, I slid into the driver's seat and started the engine. Adrenaline surged through my veins, heightening my senses as I glanced into the rearview mirror. My heart sank as I saw the unknown vehicle pulling out of its parking space, its headlights illuminating the darkness. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, my mind racing with thoughts of escape. I sped out of the parking lot, my heart pounding in my chest, the relentless pursuit tailing close behind. The empty streets stretched out before me, a labyrinth of uncertainty, as I desperately sought a path to safety. But no matter how fast I drove, the pursuer remained hot on my heels. Their headlights pierced through the darkness, casting a haunting glow that seemed to draw closer with every passing moment. It was as if they knew my every move, as if they were playing with me, toying with my fear. Sweat coated my palms, making the steering wheel slick beneath my grip. It was as if the pursuer knew my every move, my every attempt to evade their relentless pursuit. They were playing with me, toying with my fear, reveling in the torment they inflicted. I glanced back again, hoping to catch a glimpse of their face, but all I saw was the outline of a darkened vehicle, a shapeless menace shrouded in mystery. Who were they? What did they want from me? These questions burned in my mind, but the answers remained elusive, hidden in the depths of the night. As the miles stretched on, my desperation grew. Thoughts of seeking help or finding refuge in a crowded area flickered through my mind, but the pursuers seemed to anticipate my every move. They mirrored my actions, matching my speed and trajectory with a chilling precision. It was as if they were a part of me, a dark reflection that refused to be shaken off. Each bend brought a surge of adrenaline, a mixture of hope and dread, as I desperately searched for a way out, for a shred of safety. But no matter which direction I chose, the pursuer was always there, their presence looming like a relentless predator. With each passing minute, my nerves frayed. The walls of my sanity began to crumble under the weight of the pursuit. Paranoia seeped into every crevice of my mind, casting doubt on my own perceptions. Were the eyes of the pursuer truly fixed on me, or was it all a figment of my imagination, a manifestation of my deepest fears? But the reality of their presence could not be denied. Their intentions, though shrouded in mystery, were undeniably sinister. I could feel it in the air, a tangible darkness that threatened to consume me. My breath came in short gasps as I weaved through the labyrinth of streets, my mind racing for a solution. Panic threatened to overwhelm me, but I fought to maintain focus. I had to find help, to escape this relentless pursuer. With a surge of determination, I veered onto a main road, hoping to attract the attention of fellow drivers. I honked my horn frantically, my pleas for help echoing through the night. But to my dismay, the surrounding cars continued on their oblivious paths, oblivious to the danger that pursued me. The relentless pursuit continued, the unknown vehicle tailing me with unyielding persistence. My heart sank, my hope fading as desperation settled in. I was running out of options, running out of time. And then, like a beacon of hope, I spotted the flashing lights of a police car in the distance. Relief washed over me as I raced towards them, my headlights illuminating the scene. With a burst of adrenaline, I pulled up alongside the police car, desperation etched across my face. I hastily explained the situation to the officers, their expressions turning grave as they realized the danger I was in. Without hesitation, they initiated a pursuit, their sirens blaring through the night, their presence bringing a glimmer of hope. As the pursuer's vehicle disappeared in the distance, I felt a surge of relief and gratitude. I had escaped the clutches of the unknown, but the experience had left its mark. The memory of the relentless pursuit would forever linger in the back of my mind, a reminder of the darkness that can hide in the shadows. My heart raced with excitement as my partner and I parked our car in a remote, deserted parking lot. The isolated location seemed perfect for a romantic evening, a chance to escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life. The moon cast a gentle glow over the area, painting the surroundings with an ethereal light. As we settled in, the stillness of the night wrapped around us like a comforting blanket. The air was filled with the soft whispers of nature, and a sense of tranquility washed over us. We relished in each other's company, unaware of the darkness that lurked beyond the veil of our joy. But then, a peculiar noise broke the silence, an eerie rustling of leaves, as if someone or something was moving stealthily nearby. We exchanged a puzzled glance, our smiles fading into concern. It was an out-of-place disturbance that shattered the peace we had sought. We brushed it off as a figment of our imagination, chalking it up to the tricks our minds play in unfamiliar surroundings. Determined not to let it dampen our evening, we continued our romantic escapade, attempting to forget the unexplained noise that had unsettled us. Yet, as the night progressed, more unsettling phenomena began to unfold. The once serene parking lot took on an eerie atmosphere, as if a dark veil had been cast over the surroundings. Strange shadows danced at the periphery of our vision, disappearing whenever we turned our heads. Whispers, barely audible, teased our ears, as if the very air around us was alive with a secret conversation. The words were indistinct, as if spoken in a forgotten language, yet their tone conveyed an undercurrent of malevolence. It was as if the very air around us was alive with a secret conversation, one we were not meant to decipher. A chill settled in the air, causing the hairs on the back of our necks to stand on end. Goosebumps prickled our skin, a physical manifestation of the unease that enveloped us. The night seemed to stretch on endlessly, each passing moment filled with a growing sense of foreboding. The parking lot, once filled with the familiar sounds of passing cars and distant laughter, now felt suffocatingly silent. Even the faintest breeze seemed to be muffled by an invisible barrier, as if the world held its breath in anticipation of something sinister. We exchanged nervous glances, our eyes searching for answers in each other's faces. Fear knotted in our stomachs, a heavy weight that threatened to drag us down. What unseen presence lurked in the shadows? What secrets did this desolate parking lot hold? As we moved through the empty spaces, a sense of being watched washed over us. It was an unshakable feeling, an instinctual awareness that eyes followed our every step. We quickened our pace, our footsteps echoing off the cold concrete, the sound magnified by the silence. A flicker of movement caught my eye, and I turned, expecting to see another passerby. But there was nothing. Just the empty expanse of the parking lot, devoid of life. The sensation of being watched intensified, the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end. We questioned the safety of our chosen location, our sense of tranquility shattered by the encroaching fear. Still, we clung to each other, hoping to find solace in our unity. But the phenomena only intensified. Shadows grew darker, longer, taking on grotesque shapes that seemed to reach out towards us. The whispers grew louder, their words indecipherable yet laced with an undeniable malevolence. Doubt crept into our minds. Were we truly alone in this remote parking lot? Or had something sinister invaded our sanctuary? Panic simmered beneath the surface, threatening to consume us. We made a hasty decision to leave, desperate to escape the mounting horror that surrounded us. Fear propelled us back to the safety of our car, our hearts pounding with a mixture of terror and relief. We fumbled with the keys, urging the engine to roar to life and whisk us away from this nightmare. But as we turned the key, nothing happened. The car remained silent, stubbornly refusing to obey our frantic commands. Panic surged within us, our eyes darting around the deserted parking lot for a sign of hope. And then, we saw it, an ethereal figure emerging from the darkness. Its form was indistinct, a mere silhouette that seemed to blend with the night. Dread consumed us as we realized we were not alone. Fear gripped our hearts, paralyzing us in our seats. The figure drew closer, its presence suffocating, its intentions unknown. Our minds raced with questions. What did it want from us? Why were we the chosen targets of its malevolence? Suddenly, the figure halted, its attention diverted towards something unseen. It hesitated, as if caught between two conflicting desires. In that fleeting moment, we seized the opportunity. With renewed determination, we pushed open the car doors and sprinted towards the nearest source of light, a nearby gas station, a beacon of hope. Our lungs burned with exertion as we reached the safety of the gas station. Tears streamed down our faces, a mix of relief and lingering fear. We knew we had narrowly escaped something far more sinister than we could comprehend. We never returned to that remote parking lot, haunted by the memories of that terrifying night. The experience served as a chilling reminder that darkness can lurk even in the most picturesque settings, and that sometimes, it's better to heed the signs and trust our instincts. It was supposed to be a night of laughter and camaraderie, a chance for us to escape the pressures of our everyday lives. We had chosen a secluded parking lot as our meeting spot, hidden away from prying eyes and the bustle of the city. But what started as a casual gathering soon transformed into a nightmare we could never have anticipated. As the night settled in, my friends began arriving one by one, their headlights piercing through the darkness. The air was thick with excitement as we exchanged greetings and made our way towards the gathering spot. But as the minutes ticked by, a growing unease started to gnaw at the edges of my consciousness. One of our friends, Lisa, was nowhere to be seen. We tried to convince ourselves that she had been delayed by traffic or some other mundane reason. But as time stretched on, the worry in our hearts intensified. Something was wrong. We felt it in our bones. As we approached our cars, a chilling sight greeted us. Inside each vehicle, eerie clues were left behind, traces of an unsettling presence that had invaded our sanctuaries. Handprints smeared on windows, cryptic messages scrawled on dashboards, and an inexplicable odor that hung in the air. It was as if the darkness itself had seeped into our cars, leaving behind its mark. Fear tightened its grip on our hearts as we realized that this was no ordinary gathering gone awry. The shadows of the night seemed to whisper a malevolent secret, taunting us with their silence. We needed answers, and we needed them fast. In a collective effort, we embarked on a desperate search for Lisa. Our footsteps echoed through the empty parking lot, each sound magnified in the stillness of the night. The harsh glow of our flashlights pierced through the darkness, casting long, twisted shadows that danced menacingly around us. As we combed through the secluded area, our hearts pounded with a mix of anticipation and dread. Every rustling leaf, every fleeting movement caught our attention, sending shivers down our spines. Each step we took seemed to bring us closer to the heart of a mystery that threatened to consume us. And then, we found it, a trail of torn fabric, leading us deeper into the darkness. We followed it, our breaths held in a collective gasp, unsure of what we would find at its end. The air grew heavier, the atmosphere charged with an otherworldly energy that prickled our skin. With trembling hands, we reached out to touch the torn remnants, our fingertips grazing the frayed threads as a chill ran up our spines. Heart pounding, I took the lead, my footsteps cautious yet determined. Each step we took seemed to echo through the stillness, a resounding reminder of our intrusion into this forbidden realm. The air grew thicker, as if a heavy fog had descended upon us, obscuring our vision and tightening its grip around our throats. As we ventured deeper into the darkness, the tension in the air intensified, suffocating us with its weight. Our breaths came in shallow gasps, our hearts racing with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. We were on the precipice of something unknown, something that defied the boundaries of logic and reason. With each step we took, the atmosphere seemed to electrify, sending jolts of unease through our bodies. Whispers danced on the edge of our hearing, their unintelligible words echoing in the chamber. We exchanged anxious glances, questioning if our presence had awakened something ancient and vengeful. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the chamber, extinguishing our feeble flashlight. Darkness enveloped us, and with it, a primal fear took hold. Our senses heightened, attuned to the slightest movement, the faintest sound. We could feel eyes upon us, unseen gazes boring into our very souls. A soft rustling broke the stillness, sending a jolt of adrenaline through our veins. We turned towards the sound, our eyes straining to pierce the inky blackness. The tension was palpable, the air thick with anticipation. And then, it came, a low, guttural growl reverberating through the chamber. The sound sent shivers down our spines, our bodies freezing in terror. Finally, we arrived at a dilapidated shed, standing alone amidst the shadows. Its decaying walls exuded a haunting aura, a silent witness to the unknown horrors that had unfolded within its confines. With trembling hands, we pushed open the creaking door, our eyes adjusting to the dim light within. What we saw inside would forever haunt our nightmares. Lisa, with her hands tied up behind her to a pole, her eyes filled with terror, lay before us. The realization of her suffering ignited a fire within us, pushing us to take action. With a surge of determination, we set her free, wrapping her in our arms, offering comfort and solace amidst the darkness that had consumed her. The questions remained unanswered, but our priority was clear: to get Lisa to safety and seek the authorities' help in unraveling the sinister events that had unfolded that night. As we left the forsaken parking lot, our hearts heavy with the weight of the unknown, we vowed to find the truth, to uncover the secrets that had snatched Lisa from our midst. The scars of that night would forever linger, a reminder of the darkness that hides in the most unsuspecting places. I had always been told to be cautious, to avoid walking alone at night. But tonight, the allure of independence and adventure got the better of me. As I made my way through the bustling city streets, my heart pounding with a mix of excitement and apprehension, I couldn't help but feel a sense of invincibility. Finally, I arrived at the underground parking garage. The dimly lit entrance greeted me, casting long shadows that danced ominously on the concrete walls. A flickering fluorescent light above me added to the eerie atmosphere, but I pushed aside any lingering unease. After all, what could go wrong? As I descended the stairs into the depths of the garage, the sounds of the city above slowly faded away. The air grew cooler, dampened by the absence of sunlight. I continued on, my footsteps echoing through the empty space, each sound amplified in the enclosed environment. Reaching my car, I fished out my keys and approached it with a sense of relief. The familiar sight of my vehicle provided a comforting reassurance. I was almost home free, or so I thought. But as I inserted the key into the lock, a sudden and unexpected darkness enveloped me. The power had gone out, leaving me stranded in the depths of the underground garage. Panic surged through me as I realized I was trapped, engulfed in a pitch-black void. I fumbled for my phone, desperately attempting to illuminate my surroundings. The feeble glow of the screen barely pierced the darkness, offering little solace. My heart raced as I strained to listen, hoping to catch any sound that might give me a clue to my situation. And then, I heard it, a soft, echoing noise, barely audible over the thudding of my own heartbeat. It was a shuffling sound, the faint rustling of movement. My breath hitched in my throat as I realized I was not alone. Fear coursed through my veins as I envisioned a lurking presence, an unknown figure lurking just beyond the reach of my sight. Panic threatened to consume me as I desperately searched for an escape, for any means of finding my way out of the suffocating darkness. With cautious steps, I inched my way towards the nearest stairwell, my hands outstretched, brushing against cold, rough concrete. Every nerve in my body was on edge, my senses heightened to their maximum. The mere thought of what might be lurking in the darkness sent chills down my spine. As I navigated the maze-like structure of the parking garage, the unknown presence seemed to grow closer. The shuffling sounds became more distinct, as if it were intentionally tormenting me, toying with my fear. Each step I took was filled with trepidation, my heart pounding in my chest. Every creak, every gust of wind, sent chills down my spine, my heart pounding in my chest like a relentless drumbeat. Shadows danced on the walls, their elongated forms mocking my attempts to discern their true nature. I strained my ears, desperate for any clue, any sign of what I was up against. Was it a person, a creature, or something altogether more sinister? My every instinct screamed at me to run, to flee from the lurking danger, but I pressed on, driven by a mix of fear and curiosity. Suddenly, a faint glimmer of light caught my attention. A distant emergency exit sign flickered in the darkness, offering a glimmer of hope. With renewed determination, I made my way towards it, my pulse racing with anticipation. As I approached the exit, a feeling of relief washed over me. But just as I thought I was free, the light from the sign abruptly went out. Darkness once again swallowed me whole, leaving me stranded in the abyss. The unknown presence was closing in, its presence palpable, its intentions unknown. The air grew heavy, laden with an otherworldly presence that sent a shiver down my spine. Whispers echoed through the corridor, their origin impossible to discern. They wormed their way into my mind, filling it with haunting fragments of words that left me disoriented and on edge. My grip tightened around my keys, my knuckles turning white. I could feel eyes upon me, unseen gazes penetrating the veil of darkness. The very essence of the parking garage seemed to conspire against me, its architecture morphing and contorting, disorienting me in its labyrinthine design. With a surge of desperation, I sprinted towards the direction I believed would lead me to safety. My heart pounded in my ears, drowning out any other sound. I could feel the presence growing closer, its malevolence seeping into every fiber of my being. And then, just when all hope seemed lost, I burst through the final door and into the blinding light of the outside world. Gasping for breath, my body trembling with exhaustion and fear, I realized I had escaped the clutches of the unknown presence. As I stood there, shaking, I couldn't help but feel a lingering sense of unease. The memory of that dark and suffocating underground garage haunted me, a reminder of the true depths of fear that can be found in the most ordinary of places. It was a late Sunday evening. I walked briskly through the empty parking lot, the distant hum of streetlights casting an eerie glow on the pavement. The night air was still and unsettling, amplifying the sound of my footsteps as I approached my car. The click of the unlock button echoed through the silence, a small comfort in the desolate landscape. As I reached for the door handle, a gust of wind brushed against my neck, sending a shiver down my spine. I paused for a moment, a feeling of unease creeping into my senses. It was then that I noticed it, a small piece of paper tucked beneath the windshield wiper. With trembling hands, I plucked the note from its resting place. The words scrawled across the paper sent a chill through my veins. "I've been watching you." The simple sentence held an undeniable weight, its implications sinking deep into my consciousness. Fear gnawed at the edges of my thoughts as I scanned the empty parking lot, searching for any sign of the mysterious watcher. But there was no one to be seen, no movement in the shadows. The note seemed to hang in the air, taunting me with its enigmatic message. My mind raced with questions. Who could be watching me? Why? What did they want? Thoughts of strangers, of potential threats, invaded my every thought, turning the familiar surroundings into a breeding ground for paranoia. The thought of a stranger fixating on my every move sent a surge of adrenaline through my veins, heightening my senses to the smallest of details. Every passing face in the crowd became a potential suspect, every innocent gesture a hidden motive. The once familiar streets and shops now seemed filled with hidden eyes, observing my every step. Paranoia crept into my daily routine, casting a shadow over even the most mundane activities. I found myself constantly looking over my shoulder, scanning the faces of those around me, searching for any sign of recognition or danger. The sense of being under constant surveillance weighed heavily on my mind, leaving me in a perpetual state of alertness. I quickly glanced around, my eyes darting from shadow to shadow, searching for any signs of a presence lurking nearby. Each passing moment intensified the tension, the weight of the note pressing against my chest. I had to find answers, and I had to understand the source of this chilling message. With a pounding heart, I slid into the driver's seat, my hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. Thoughts of escape swirled through my mind, but a part of me was drawn to the unknown. I needed to confront this faceless watcher, to uncover the truth behind their cryptic message. As I pulled out of the parking lot, my mind raced with possibilities. Had I unknowingly attracted someone's attention? Had I stumbled upon a dark secret? The uncertainty gnawed at my thoughts, clouding my judgment as I navigated the dark streets. Days turned into weeks, and the note remained a constant presence in my mind. Its words echoed through my thoughts, each passing moment fueling my determination to uncover the identity of the watcher. I became consumed by a mix of fear and obsession, my every waking hour dedicated to deciphering the mystery that had taken hold of my life. I scoured security camera footage, sought the help of friends, and even hired a private investigator. But the more I delved into the investigation, the deeper the rabbit hole seemed to go. Clues were scarce, leads turned up empty, and I found myself trapped in a web of frustration and desperation. Sleepless nights became the norm as the weight of the watcher's gaze bore down upon me. Every creak of the floorboards, every distant sound in the night sent my heart racing, my nerves on edge. I had become a prisoner to my own fear, my own obsession. But then, one fateful evening, a breakthrough came. A tiny piece of evidence, seemingly insignificant, pointed me in a new direction. It led me to a name, a face, a person whose connection to me was both startling and chilling. I confronted the watcher, their eyes widening in disbelief as I presented the evidence before them. The truth spilled from their lips, a twisted tale of obsession and revenge. They had been watching me, seeking retribution for a perceived wrong, their mind consumed by a darkness I couldn't comprehend. Relief washed over me as I realized the threat was no longer imminent. The watcher had been unmasked, their motives exposed. The ordeal had taken its toll, leaving scars that would forever serve as a reminder of the fear and tension that had gripped my life. I returned to my car in the now familiar parking lot, the haunting note a distant memory. The night air felt different, less oppressive. I slid into the driver's seat, the engine purring to life, and as I drove away, I couldn't help but glance back at the empty parking lot, knowing that I had emerged from the darkness stronger, forever changed by the harrowing experience. I sat alone in my car, the faint glow of the phone screen illuminating my face as I mindlessly scrolled through social media. Time slipped away, and when I finally looked up, my heart skipped a beat. The parking lot was devoid of life. An unsettling chill crept up my spine as I surveyed the scene. The once bustling lot was now a desolate expanse, empty of any signs of human presence. Panic gnawed at the edges of my mind as I struggled to comprehend the eerie isolation that surrounded me. I stepped out of my car, my footsteps echoing through the silence. The air hung heavy with a palpable stillness, as if time itself had frozen within the confines of the parking lot. My every movement felt amplified, as if I was intruding upon a forbidden sanctuary. I called out, my voice swallowed by the vast emptiness. The sound dissipated into nothingness, leaving me with an unsettling sense of solitude. A shiver ran down my spine as I realized I was truly alone. Fear mingled with confusion as I tried to piece together the puzzle of the empty parking lot. Had I unknowingly stumbled into some kind of twilight zone? Was this a cruel prank or a figment of my imagination? A surge of adrenaline propelled me forward, urging me to explore the strange phenomenon that had enveloped the lot. I walked cautiously, my eyes scanning for any signs of life or answers to the bizarre situation I found myself in. As I ventured deeper into the empty abyss, a sense of unease settled upon me. The absence of familiar sounds, the hum of car engines, the chatter of passers-by, only heightened my growing apprehension. I yearned for any form of human presence, a glimmer of normalcy to anchor me in this eerie void. But the parking lot remained steadfast in its emptiness, offering no solace or escape. I felt as if I had been transported to another dimension, a parallel universe where I was the sole inhabitant. Questions swirled in my mind. Has time stopped? Or had I somehow entered an alternate reality? The lack of answers only deepened the sense of dread that coursed through my veins. As night fell, the darkness swallowed the parking lot, enveloping it in an inky blackness. The absence of streetlights and the comforting glow of neighboring buildings intensified my fear. The once familiar surroundings had transformed into a nightmarish landscape. Every shadow seemed to hold a lurking presence, and the silence was punctuated only by the sound of my racing heartbeat. I fought against the suffocating fear that threatened to consume me, desperate to find a way out of this haunting abyss. With each step, the isolation pressed down upon me, suffocating my senses. The boundaries of the parking lot seemed to expand, stretching into an endless void that defied logic. Panic clawed at my chest as I grappled with the overwhelming realization that escape was futile. Hours turned into an eternity as I wandered aimlessly through the desolate parking lot, my hope waning with every passing moment. I called out for help, my voice reduced to a desperate whisper that disappeared into the emptiness. It was as if the world had abandoned me, leaving me to confront my darkest fears alone. Just as despair threatened to engulf me completely, a faint glimmer of light appeared on the horizon. Hope flickered within me as I made my way towards the beacon, my steps filled with renewed determination. As I drew closer, the light grew brighter, illuminating a familiar sight, the entrance to the parking lot. Relief washed over me as I stepped beyond the confines of the empty void, back into the realm of the living. I turned to glance back at the parking lot, still shrouded in darkness. The experience had left an indelible mark on my soul, a reminder of the fragility of our existence and the sinister mysteries that lie just beneath the surface of our reality. As a security guard, my job was to maintain order and ensure the safety of the premises I patrolled. The late-night shifts in the desolate parking lot were usually uneventful, filled with the hum of streetlights and the occasional sound of a passing car. But on one fateful night, my routine took a chilling turn. I was making my rounds, my flashlight cutting through the darkness, when I spotted a figure hunched near a lamppost. Curiosity compelled me to investigate, my steps cautious and measured. As I approached, the silhouette became clearer, a person, disoriented and seemingly lost. "Hey, are you all right?" I called out, my voice laced with concern. The stranger turned towards me, their eyes glassy and unfocused. Their appearance was disheveled, as if they had been wandering for hours. They muttered something about losing their car, their voice laced with confusion. Without hesitation, I offered my assistance, determined to help them find their way. As we walked together, unease gnawed at the edges of my consciousness. There was something off about the stranger, a darkness that clung to their presence. But I pushed those thoughts aside, attributing my unease to the late hour and the peculiar circumstances. We searched the dimly lit parking lot, scanning row after row for any sign of the lost vehicle. The stranger's behavior grew increasingly erratic, their movements unpredictable. It was as if they were leading me deeper into the labyrinth of parked cars, their intentions shrouded in mystery. A chill raced down my spine as I realized the truth. The stranger was toying with me, luring me into their twisted game. Panic bubbled within me, but I refused to succumb to fear. I had to find a way out, to escape the clutches of this dangerous individual. With a surge of adrenaline, I broke into a run, my feet pounding against the pavement. The stranger's deranged laughter echoed behind me, urging me to push harder. I darted between parked cars, my heart pounding in my ears, desperately searching for an escape route. But no matter how fast I ran, the stranger was always just a step behind. Their footsteps matched mine, their presence a haunting shadow that loomed ever closer. Fear gripped my heart, its icy tendrils threatening to paralyze me. With no other option, I made a split-second decision. I veered towards the security office, my only hope of summoning help. As I burst through the door, I glanced back, catching a glimpse of the stranger's twisted grin. The chase was not over. In a frenzied panic, I fumbled for the phone, dialing the emergency number, my voice trembling as I relayed the situation to the operator. Help was on its way, but time seemed to stretch infinitely as I awaited their arrival, each passing second feeling like an eternity. Outside, the stranger's laughter grew louder, more maniacal. They knew they had me cornered, that escape was futile. But just as despair threatened to engulf me, the sound of approaching sirens pierced through the night. The police arrived, their presence a beacon of hope in the midst of darkness. With calculated precision, they apprehended the stranger, their strength and determination overpowering the malevolent force that had haunted me. As I stood, my breaths coming in ragged gasps, I realized the magnitude of the danger I had faced. The encounter had been more than a mere game, it had been a brush with the unknown, a glimpse into the abyss of human darkness. From that night forward, the parking lot held an eerie presence, a constant reminder of the horrors that can lurk in the shadows. I continued my duties as a security guard, but the memory of that terrifying chase stayed with me, etched into my very being. It was a moonless night as I walked through the dimly lit parking lot, my footsteps echoing against the pavement. A sense of unease settled over me, heightened by the flickering streetlights casting eerie shadows. I quickened my pace, eager to reach the safety of my car. As I glanced over my shoulder, I noticed a figure lurking in the shadows, their presence shrouded in darkness. My heart skipped a beat, a wave of apprehension washing over me. I tried to brush it off as a trick of the imagination, a mere product of the late hour and my own jangled nerves. But deep down, I knew something was amiss. In an attempt to shake off the unsettling feeling, I picked up my pace, my footsteps echoing louder in the silence. But as I turned a corner, I realized I was not alone. The figure emerged from the shadows, revealing its sinister intent. It was not alone either. A group of menacing individuals materialized, their eyes gleaming with malice. Fear gripped my heart, my instincts urging me to flee. I broke into a run, my footsteps pounding against the pavement as the sound of pursuing footsteps echoed behind me. Panic surged through my veins, pushing me to find refuge, to find help. But the parking lot seemed to stretch on forever, the end nowhere in sight. Desperation set in as the gap between us closed, their voices taunting me, their laughter a chilling soundtrack to my terror. I felt the hot breath of their pursuit on the back of my neck, their malevolence palpable in the air. With each passing moment, the shadows grew thicker, swallowing the feeble light. I felt their presence pressing in on me, suffocating my every breath. My heart pounded in my chest, a constant reminder of the imminent danger that loomed behind me. As I darted between rows of parked cars, hope flickered in my chest. Perhaps I could lose them in the labyrinthine maze of the parking lot, find a hiding place until help arrived. But their footsteps echoed with purpose, their determination unyielding. Adrenaline coursed through my veins as I spotted an open door, a glimmer of salvation. I threw myself inside, finding temporary respite from the relentless pursuit. I pressed my back against the cold metal, my breath ragged and labored, listening intently for any sign of their approach. Minutes stretched into an eternity as I waited, the silence broken only by the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. But just as relief began to wash over me, I heard it, a faint creaking, a telltale sign that they were closing in on my hiding place. I held my breath, praying for escape. The door inched open, revealing their menacing silhouettes against the dimly lit parking lot. Their eyes gleamed with a twisted delight, their intentions clear. Panic consumed me once more, my mind racing for a way out. With one final surge of desperation, I burst from my hiding place, sprinting toward the exit of the parking lot. The sound of their pursuit reverberated through the night, their threats and laughter fueling my resolve. I pushed my body to its limits, each step a desperate plea for survival. As I reached the edge of the parking lot, relief washed over me. I had escaped their clutches, but the memory of their sinister presence lingered, a haunting reminder of the darkness that lurked within the night. The day had been filled with laughter and joy as my family and I explored the bustling amusement park. As the sun began to set, we made our way back to the crowded parking lot, eager to head home. But as we approached our car, a wave of confusion washed over us. There, surrounding our vehicle, were doppelgangers of ourselves, identical copies that mirrored our every move. Their features were distorted, their eyes hollow and vacant. Fear gripped our hearts as we realized something was horribly wrong. We stood frozen, our minds racing to make sense of the impossible. How could this be? What sinister force had brought these eerie replicas into our lives? Panic swirled within us, but we knew we had to escape their clutches. As we cautiously approached our car, the doppelgangers mimicked our every step, their blank expressions never faltering. Their presence was suffocating, a chilling reminder that we were no longer safe in our own skins. The engine roared to life, but as we attempted to drive away, we were met with resistance. The doppelgangers pressed against the windows, their hands leaving smudged prints that seemed to mock our futile attempts to escape. It was as if an invisible barrier held us captive, trapping us within this nightmare. Frantic and desperate, we abandoned the car and fled on foot, hoping to find help amidst the crowded parking lot. But as we ran, the doppelgangers followed, their unnerving silence haunting our every step. The onlookers were oblivious to the nightmarish spectacle that unfolded before them. We raced through the maze of parked vehicles, our hearts pounding, seeking refuge in the sea of strangers. But with each passing moment, our pursuers closed in, their presence suffocating. They moved with an unnatural grace, their mirrored movements a twisted dance of malevolence. Fear propelled us forward, our instincts urging us to find sanctuary. In the distance, we spotted a security guard, his uniform a beacon of hope. We dashed towards him, our voices choked with terror as we pleaded for help. But to our horror, he turned towards us with vacant eyes, his features contorted into a grotesque imitation of our own. Realizing that even the authorities had succumbed to this nightmare, we were left with no choice but to rely on our own wits. We zigzagged through the maze of vehicles, ducking and dodging the doppelgangers in a desperate bid for survival. Their laughter echoed through the air, mocking our every move. As we neared the edge of the parking lot, a glimmer of hope ignited within us. There, beyond the borders of this twisted domain, lay the promise of freedom. With one final burst of adrenaline, we broke free from the suffocating grip of the doppelgangers, their presence fading into the distance. Gasping for breath, we stumbled onto the street, our bodies trembling with exhaustion and relief. We were free, but the memory of their haunting gazes and twisted grins would forever be etched in our minds. As we looked back at the parking lot, it was empty. No sign of the doppelgangers remained, as if they had never existed. But deep down, we knew the nightmare was not over. The reflections of fear still lingered, a reminder that the line between reality and nightmare was far thinner than we could have ever imagined.